Sacagawea, on the edge of the Pacific coast, having led the Lewis and Clark expedition there, and it was this perfect photo op. But I thought, whatever happened to that little boy, that child of a celebrity mom? And so I started looking into this, and when I found out, because everybody has an after story. Look at the poor Olympic competitors. Look at even Lindsey Vonn, the skier. Well, she's not in the Olympics, and she's having to explain that sort of every single day. That people are asking her. Well, I'm injured. People can't understand it, but the culture as a whole never asked whatever happened to that little boy, Jean-Baptiste Charbonneau. In fact, when we had that coin, the Sacagawea coin, if he could have spoken from the heavens, I imagine he'd have said, well, don't you know there are 2 people on the Sacagawea coin? And I realized he was this listening representative for all of the rest of us, because so much of our culture rode on Sacagawea's back. And I thought about invisible viewers of history and how often history is just, in Western history, is just conquest tales retold by 6-foot white men. And fiction is swung open a huge door. It's faster than the old boy network of history will absorb it. But fiction is letting people tell different alternate stories. Now, if you go in this library and look at a Mainer, Berenice Abbott, the great photographer, well, before she came to New York for her WPA project, most people had just stood on the street and shot up at skyscrapers. And it took Berenice Abbott to unthink that, go up on the top of skyscrapers, go on her back, anything but that conspiracy of perspective, that 6 foot, because think of all the things that you miss. And I get excited about what history was missing in this case. And I thought, maybe if Sacagawea was a New World's first celebrity mom, Baptiste was our first child star. So to understand his character, because nobody cared if he had a life beyond 19 months old, talk about, forgetting something. I studied child stars and what had happened to them to kind of cut into what his anger must have been, how he must have been. People must have just done a double take when they realized who he was. And so I studied people like Danny Bonaducci, who's just